I consider myself like an artsy kind of person. Like I do tons of things like photography, videography. I paint, I sketch, I just do a whole bunch of different artsy things. So music for me was just another one of those expressions. Like I was, once I stuck with it, it was just something else that I was doing. Like when I had the time, funds, because studio time costs money. So when I had the funds to go create, then I would do that. And I was just putting out music. Like I didn't really have any set plan. Like even before Vibe, like I had people telling me like I should put like my songs on platforms, and I was just like, no, I'm just making music, like I'm not trying to sell it or anything like that. I'm just making music. So
Awesome. Well, I'm Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music.
hey, well, nice to meet you, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course, this is going to be amazing. And I love the album. It's great. So I
Much.
can talk to you about that as well. So I did see Born and Raised. You're from New Jersey? Is that what I
Yes,
saw? Okay.
yep,
Talk to me
girl.
about where you're born and raised. What was that like?
Well, I'm from Irvington, New Jersey. So it's a little small town in Jersey. It's really dope. Love growing up there. So yeah. And where I'm from is like right next to Newark, New Jersey, which is like the home of like Jersey club music. So
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah,
You
that's
grew up
like
on that. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to cut you off.
no,
I was gonna say you come from a musical household too, right? Were your parents both DJ?
yeah, both of my parents are DJs and they mainly played like house music. So I was always around music constantly as a kid, whether it's like blasting on Saturday mornings or just even waking up, and constantly always hearing house music. So it's a blessing and a curse in a way.
Was that something that you were interested in because your family is musical like that?
Well, both of like I said, with them being DJs, it made me kind of stray away from wanting to be a DJ per se. I guess
Okay.
that's like dove into just making music instead of like, being the one that controls the crowds and stuff like that. But it has definitely influenced like just the type of music or the genre of music that I'm into, whether it's like house or like R&B, jazz. Like my grandfather used to blast the Temptations when he was cooking on Sundays. So it's just like, it has definitely affected just like the kind of music that I like, but I still like all genres. So it's a bonus.
Yeah, that's awesome. And growing up, but were you like in chorus or choir or something? Like at what point did you realize that you could sing, or did somebody, notice that you are, a great singer, or how did you stumble upon singing?
No, I was in a choir. Yeah, I was in a choir for a long, long time because I went to Catholic school. So it was kind of like one of the extracurriculars that came if you were like you wanted to extend your music class kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So from there, I was like in choir. I sang like in church and stuff like that. So it kind of like just stuck with me from there.
At what age did you start the choir? Were you pretty young?
Um, I feel like I had to because I don't remember the exact age.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, was I? Yeah, like so it because like I said, it was like an extracurricular that came within school. So it was an option if you wanted to join the choir. It'll help you get extra credit on music scores. So it was just like, yeah, I'm in it. But it was just something that definitely instilled like a solid foundation when it came down to like understanding music on that deeper level, whether it's like the actual putting things together, harmonizing, the layering, and different things like that. Because that's what comes with being in a choir. You're learning how to sing in a group. You have to be on timing. You can't oversing the person next to you, so to speak. So there's a lot going on. And I'm glad I got to experience that because it helps me tons in making music right now.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine. And I was also raised I was raised forced Catholic. And so
Oh,
I'm well aware of like the hymns and everything that are being sung in mass, and those aren't easy songs.
no, it's definitely not. Like I was taught Ave Maria at a very young age. Like Ave Maria was like really
Oh
in
wow.
they
I know
had
that
it
song well.
that has been, if you go to Catholic or if you've been to Catholic school, you had to at least hear it once or at least at some time during the Christmas concerts. Like you
Oh
had to hear.
yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, that's a song that's definitely becomes like this earworm at my house. Whenever they sing it at mass, yeah, like around Christmas time or whatever, like I have a 15-year-old and he'll just be singing it like it just like this stuck in his head, like this hook was written back when.
No, it's definitely one of those songs that sticks in your head and you'll sing it at random. It's like it's programmed in there.
Yeah, once you hear it once, it's there for sure. That's funny. What about do you play an instrument? Like did you grow up playing piano or anything like that either?
Play piano. I was self-taught, so that's a bonus. But I did take a
Uh-huh.
few classes, but it didn't really stick with me like that because like after already self-teaching myself pretty much to play by ear, it was just like, my teacher was pretty strict too. So it's like it's either you know how to do this or you're gonna have to be practicing all day and night to get it exactly right. But like, when you're more of like a freestylist and you're just trying to do like just simple chords or stuff like that. So even if it's going into writing your own music, it's pretty simplistic. And then I play a little bit of guitar too. So
Okay.
yeah.
It's
Mhm.
interesting how piano teachers, I've had so many interviews with artists that have had such a negative experience with it. And you just, like, you think of piano teachers and there's just already this like you already have this kind of idea of what that would look like, right? Some lady, older lady in a house and like some cats and that's going to whack your hand if you mess up. Like it's never like this. Oh, not a lot of people get that. Like, oh, I'm excited to go. Like I got to learn my favorite whatever song at piano
So
lesson.
most of the piano teachers, at least from my memory, even back in the day, it's just like it was taken way, way more seriously when it came down to playing any instrument for that matter, especially when it came down to piano or violin or there's certain instruments I feel like, I don't know, I guess the background of it is just so prestigious and serious that the teachers come from like a really old school kind of background and it's like they don't play any games. Like you have to, I remember my hands being cramped up and I told my mom, I'm like, I don't like this. They not like it, like, because it's like they want you to learn all of those intricacies and the things that really make you, I guess, a master pianist. And
Huh.
if it's just like a fun thing for you, or just even something that you use to write songs on, like like if you don't plan on performing a whole full song, via piano, then I won't say it's needed for you to take lessons, but like there's some teachers that think you want to be the next.
Right. Like you're gonna be at Carnegie Hall or something.
Yeah, yeah. I think they think that when they have a student, which is fine. I mean, why
Yeah,
not have your student shoot for the stars? But most of us
sure.
just kind of play our favorite songs or just use it to write our own songs. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why there's like this reputation with
Yeah, it's funny. The
he was a guy and he was still like very, very strict, but the story goes that like he played with like Ray Charles, like it was like really, really, really extensive as far as like his resume. So yeah,
uh-huh.
he had his working hard.
Yeah, maybe that comes down to it too, is just if you have achieved that level of success, you probably are just wanting, other people. You have, I don't know, I would have that notion of like, well, this is how you got to do it. Like, obviously, this is how I learned, and that's how I've achieved this greatness. And you're kind of like teaching what you know.
And you don't want your students, if someone says like, "Hey, this guy taught me," or "This lady," them leaving you, and they're like ruining your reputation because they suck.
Right. You're at the piano just smashing keys. Someone's like, "Oh, you take lessons?" "Oh, yeah, I take it from so and so." "Ooh, okay."
Everything and then they're like, so yeah, I can understand why they're like that, but it's a shame that there aren't more teachers that understand the whole patience thing.
Yeah, that's funny. When did you start writing songs?
Oh, I was doing like poetry since like fifth grade. So what age are you in like in fifth grade? Like
10 or so.
yeah, like 10. So yeah, I started writing poetry at 10 and it's kind of sprung up from there. Like the poetry led into wanting to see like, okay, can I turn my poems into like, songs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So but mainly it was still poetry for a long time. Like I was just writing poems for a very long time. Probably and then I probably didn't start diving into really making songs and like going to the studio and stuff until like um somewhere along like getting into like high school. So it's like what you're like maybe 14 around that range.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah, so after around that, it's like that's when I was like, okay, I solidly want to just see what I can do and see what my poems can turn into, you know?
And when you were going to the studio, were you releasing those songs while you're still in high school, or did that come later?
Yeah, like no, some of them got released, like I would put it on SoundCloud or whatever, and others will, I would put it out and then see how I felt about it, and probably just delete it because it sounded like crap maybe a week later to me. And then it's just like spontaneous. Like before you know anything about the industry or marketing or PR or anything like that, you're really just going to the studio, creating, and then putting it out. Like, and deciding whether or not you want to keep something based off of you. Sometimes it could have been based off of plays or something like that, but you're just still this like virginal artist, like trying to figure everything out.
No, yeah, definitely. And with that, like, at what point does this become more of a serious thing? I mean, obviously, you had a big moment in
Mhm.
2020, but
Right.
before, even before that, you had music out, and was that something like, did you have pre, vibe? Was there something that had kind of continued your career, like, or like a little like milestones that you had made or hit that you were like, okay, this is, I want to keep doing this.
I mean, honestly, it's like I consider myself like an artsy kind of person. Like I do tons of things like photography, videography. I paint, I sketch, I just do a whole bunch of different artsy things. So music for me was just another one of those expressions. Like I was once I stuck with it, it was just something else that I was doing. Like when I had the time, funds, because studio time costs money. So when I had the funds to go create, then I would do that. And I was just putting out music. Like I didn't even really have any set plan. Like even before Vibe, like I had people telling me like I should put like my songs on platforms, and I was just like, no, I'm just making music, like I'm not trying to sell it or anything like that. I'm just making music. So it took one of my friends introducing me to my previous pub deal, or the previous pub deal that I had before, I signed with Empire, and everything went from there. They were actually the ones that were like, okay, we're going to put your stuff up. If I would have never had that meeting, I would have still been just making music off of the creative that it just makes me feel good. I like to make songs. That's just what I like to do. So it turned into, me being like this artist now that's, I wanted to say that takes it seriously, because I was taking it seriously, just not in that way of, I guess, the business terms of it, like,
Right.
trying to make money off of it kind of thing. So yeah, after Vibe blew up, that was kind of like my doorway of saying, okay, like, okay, this can pay the bills. Like,
So you said a friend introduced you to the publishing company that you
yes.
originally signed to?
DJ Lil C4, actually. He's another club producer. He's done a lot of different things. And he's not, I don't think we're both not signed with that same pub company anymore. But like,
Right.
that was the initial, okay, hey, she has some music. You guys should check her out. And it was just like, okay, let's put your stuff on platforms. And I was only, my stuff was probably on platforms for maybe like a year, maybe even not even close to the full year before Vibe actually just took off. That was like 2019. So
Wow.
it was kind of like instant. Like, well, it's not instant when you're living it, because it didn't feel like that. It was still a whole year. I think it was at least a year of that, just constantly promoting, still putting out music, just promoting it as normal. And then poof, viral on TikTok.
Yeah, tell me about that moment though. That had to be I don't even imagine, like, I try to think of, like, how that would feel to have such a big, like, viral moment, right? It's like, to me, it would be if I saw this video doing well, I would be like, you know, like, at a slot machine, I would just keep pulling in, like, "Oh my god," like, I would, like, just that dopamine hit, "Oh, it's at 5,000, now it's at 15,000," did you put it up and it went wild right away? Was it something that you put your phone down and woke up and it was like, "Holy shit, what's going on
It
here?"
the process, but I love telling the story, because I like artists to know that it's not as instant as everyone thinks. Like Vibe,
Okay.
like, when I had that pub deal, and I put out my stuff on platforms, this was around like maybe 2019 or so. Vibe still did very well, just being standard before it went super, super viral. It still did very well. Like I think I still got at least a million streams or something
Damn.
like on it, just naturally. This is before the viral moment. Even on
Yeah.
SoundCloud, doing very well.
I mean, a million streams on anything
It's
is
still
nuts. Yeah.
great. So, and even for me, like, I mean, it's not like I've never seen, well, not me personally, but I've seen other artists get like a million plays, a million streams. So to me, it's like a milestone. Like I was patting my
Right.
back. I didn't think like that was like the starter point to what was about to happen. So,
Right. Yeah, it's
right.
like I got a million, like hell yeah, I can hate, like I did it. And now that's just like the beginning.
Yeah. So then 2020 hits. It's like maybe February, end of January, early February. So my friend, one of my dancers, she's a dancer and she's also my friend, and she hit me up. She's like, your song Vibes going viral on TikTok. And I'm like, what's TikTok? I didn't have,
Right.
like, what's that? Is that a new app or something? Like, should I be on there? She's like, no, your song's doing very well on TikTok. You should check it out. So I made a TikTok account, got on there, and I'm looking. And at this time, it's still just the beginning, it only had 5,000 videos or so made to the song. That's still a lot, but
Yeah. But
it's
for an
not.
app that you've never even heard of, or you didn't have, right?
I did the research. I found out that it was like basically musically
Mhm.
updated. You know what I'm
Yeah, they
saying?
just changed the name because my
Right,
older son had it, and I remember he showed me Musically. I'm like, oh, this is a cool app. And I don't
right,
think there was really any there wasn't a whole lot of artists that were on it. I remember Halsey having one. I was pretty shocked. I was like, oh damn, like this, she has like this is cool.
right,
And then I didn't hear anything about it. And he came
right.
back and was like, oh, this, Musically is now this. And obviously then moms got on it and it was a whole nother level when the
Right.
pandemic hit.
So and that's where we're getting to now. So like I'm like, okay, my songs are going up. Now at this time, TikTok is still in its premature stage. It didn't have track identification, it didn't have any of the stuff that an artist would need to really market on this app. It was still
Mhm.
very. So for me, when I joined and I'm like telling people, I'm like, oh, hey, this is my song. They're like, no, it's not. Like, because at the time, I think his name was Tony something. He was like a really big influencer, and he used my sound, and it like went viral or something like that. And they were saying, no, I think Tony Lopez or something. They're like, no, this is Tony's sound. Like it was chaotic. Like I was literally trying to like fighting for my credit, kind of like letting people know, like, no, this is me. I'm the actual artist. Um,
Yeah.
and from there it was just a constant, that's just what it was. Like it was a constant telling people, like, hey, this is my song, blah, blah, blah. And then the pandemic kind of hit. So that combination of the world shutting down kind of, it's like it was a gift and a curse. I feel like us being in the house and not having much to do kind of marketed my song even more, because that's all we had to do is just be in the house and just hang out and do whatever. But in that same token, I didn't get to actually perform it on those big stages and really do all of that groundwork that most artists would do with a big hit like that. So I
Right.
feel like that's what affected me in a way. Like there's tons of people that they know my song but don't know me because they didn't get a chance to see me. But then even still, I mean, 100 million streams in the end still works out in my favor.
I'll say. Yeah, it was interesting to see that happening with songs, obviously, like, I'm trying to think just because you said, you didn't have a chance to perform it, it was just, obviously just numbers on this app that are, not even only that app, but like with Spotify. I remember I interviewed Powfu, who came out of like that SoundCloud stuff, and he had that Coffee in My Head song that
Mhm.
went viral.
Right, right,
And
right.
it was interesting talking to him because he was like, yeah, I've played one show and it was before I put this out. And then the pandemic hit. And now the song has, yeah, 100 million views, like, whatever it had. And it was the same thing. Like you didn't have a chance to really capitalize on it um,
In
in
the
the
retro
standard way. Right.
standard way, it was like there was even the labels, everyone, anyone that had a business had to completely revamp how they went about going about business because you couldn't even sit next to someone in a bar or something like that. Like
Right.
everything was changing in a way where even the industry had to just go about things differently when they came down to just promoting artists. Like I did tons of Zoom interviews and tons of like digital stuff, like, but I guess that just still shows the importance of an artist still getting out there and performing and connecting with people and people seeing your face and you being able to do shows where there's more, there's not like a limit to how many people could be in there because of, you know, the pandemic and stuff like that. So it's just crazy. But I feel like even with this interview now, it's just like there's just people that have to care enough to go, oh yeah, no, this was a big moment. Let me interview this person or let me invite this person to come out and perform because this was still an important moment that happened in music. I mean, people tell me all the time, like even where Jersey Club is now, it's like my song was kind of like some of the blueprints of like really pushing it on that TikTok surgence of, you know, club music going viral right now.
Right. 100%, because
Mhm.
it has blown up. It
Crazy.
created, yeah, it created this, like, paved this way for this whole, yeah, like, scene to be kind of more visual to everyone else.
And it's, I mean, Jersey Club has been around for 20 years. Even
Right.
no, it's not like I was the only person doing club music at the time, or even the only club artist on TikTok making music. But at the time of when I had to fight and really get them to understand what the genre was, like now everyone knows, but like earlier on in that time frame, it still wasn't anywhere near where it is today. So, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not those, like more people discover me every single day because, you know, whether they heard, you know, an Ice Spice song with some of her stuff or Pink Pantress or Sky Water, like when they hear certain sounds, people somehow find their way to me. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing for sure.
Like either
Um,
as long as you're streaming me, we're good.
right. But it's not only, there's artists that came out or had a viral moment or whatever it may be during that time period, and then they just, that was it. I mean, you've been able to continually put songs out that people care about. I mean, it's, you have multiple upon multiple songs that have millions of streams on Spotify alone. I mean, Violin has 40 million, nearly 41 million streams.
It's trying to catch up with Vibe. I think it's a little jealous.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, how amazing is that? To, were you worried at all, like once that song popped off like that, were that, hope, is this my moment and is this going to end with this song, or do people care? How do I approach, you know, the next ones moving forward, or was that not even something you were thinking about?
No, I mean, honestly, you know, with anything, I think any artist would lie to you if they say they don't care, because you do. You know, like once you reach a certain level or get a certain amount of numbers, then it's like, will I ever reach that type of success ever again? Or will any of my other songs get to that point again? But what I noticed is that from all the songs that have gone viral or been done extremely well on my part, I didn't necessarily predict them. Like I didn't predict Vibe was gonna do what it was gonna do. I just made the song and moved along and just kept creating like I normally do. Same thing with even Violin. I made it. If someone asked was Violin going to be the next one, I wouldn't have thought that. Like I just was making it. And I feel like sometimes I bring myself back down to earth. Like I don't even pick the songs that go viral. You know? Like it's not my choice. It's not up to me. I
Mhm.
just make sure I have fun and create authentic music that people can connect with, honestly. And then whatever hits, hits, you know. And then it's also, you know, learning more about marketing and promotion so you can do different things or connect or collaborate with different people, so you know you keep that relevancy, but it's still overall just creating the music, putting it out, and I won't even say hope for the best, but you know just making sure you're being authentic to yourself, because if you're making music that people can relate to, that's what they're going to do. Like I can make a song and say I'm sitting here sipping coffee all day, and somebody's gonna love that because they sip coffee all day. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna love that. So it's like sometimes you gotta just follow what you know in your gut. And I mean, of course, naturally you're gonna want to do well, but you gotta sometimes realize a lot of things are out of our control. Like you
For
don't
sure.
control what the public likes, what they'll gravitate towards. There's so many different moments in history of music where people will love the stupidest songs.
Right.
Like the craziest songs. Like you would never have thought that would have been the #1 hit. But it happens. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, could you imagine being able to know what everyone wanted to be? You're like, you're able to
it,
crack the algorithm in some way.
like if we all knew what's the designated formula to making a viral whatever, it's not even just hit, it could be viral video, viral podcast, viral painting, whatever. If everyone knew the formula, we'd all be just rich sitting around. You know?
Right. Right.
And that's always a gamble. You never know. People blow up every day at random, and and most of the stories are the same. I didn't know it was going to happen,
Mhm.
really just
Yeah.
about and just working and putting out what you love and what makes sense to you, because it's easier to market something that's authentic. That's just what it is.
And I feel like with TikTok, that's been a big um thing for the app, and people just being able to seek out some like bullshit, right? If you can look and see if it looks fake or it looks like they're trying too hard, it's not
Yeah,
as appealing to people. But if it's authentic, that's why it doesn't take a whole production crew. Some of the viral videos will just be someone holding their phone up, right? Just it,
but
no, yeah, there's no like dollar value to the amount of time they spent on it, but it
mhm.
could get 50 million views.
Yeah, like even Vibe, I recorded it on my iPhone, so it's
Oh
like
wow, that's insane. That's awesome.
that's what I mean. It's like, and then even now, it's like I do go to the studio to record my stuff now, but it's just like it doesn't. You don't need all of the stuff that people just think you need to become like this mega star, or even just to get people to notice your art. You just gotta just do it, honestly.
Mhm.
You have to
Yeah,
do
be
it.
authentic. It sounds like, I mean, you just doing you
Yeah,
landed you a song with 100 million streams, but not only that song, like I said, multiple
yeah.
of the songs you've put out, and you put out so much music. You're on the Club Soda Volume 3 that just came out.
Yes, yes. It's the 3-part or the 3rd part addition to a whole Club Soda series. I'm hoping to get to volume 100.
Okay, so this is going to be an ongoing project.
Yes, it's an ongoing thing. I have 1, 2, and there's 3 down. I think it was so dope that volume 3 got to drop in 2023. So now I'm on the nose with things. So
Oh,
yeah,
trying to get to 4
yeah,
in
yeah.
2024.
Fire. If we could line it up that way that each one drops into the next years, that'd be great.
Yeah. Is there kind of a through line to all of them, or is that just the record? You're going to keep going with that as
Yeah,
far as albums go?
going my inspiration comes from like just like the mixtape days when people would drop like just different mixtapes, and then you'll have like different volumes to it. Like
Mhm.
that's I want to keep that, like just that vibe of just being able to have a project or a body of work where there's no set direction or set formula. It's just really just music and having fun. So for example, Club Soda Volume 7 may not even be all club music. It may be something else, but it's still just well, it would have to have at least one club song because it is Club
Yeah.
Soda. But ultimately, like it's like there's no set direction outside of the fact it's gonna be just, glass full of just music and something you can vibe to.
Yeah, and you have another record out as well that's not part of the Club Soda. Uh,
Which one?
is it, let me see. Go back and look. Because you have another album out, right? I believe.
That's like, yeah, it's separate from the Club Soda series. That was like my debut Jersey Club album.
Okay, got it. Yeah, 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 the one with disco on it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
my debut Jersey Club album. That has nothing to do with the Club Soda series. That was just like my introduction to the world album.
Okay, so and then not even so was that had like a direction and an idea behind it from the
Yes.
beginning.
Mhm.
Understood. Okay. So and are you going to be putting out those type of albums alongside all of the Club Soda albums as well? So you're doing 2 projects simultaneously.
Club Soda is just like the fun stuff, and it also keeps the fans, fed during the time of when you're working on an album, because albums, you don't even know when an album's going to be finished, done. You can have a time frame to when you want to get it done, but an album, it's a different kind of body of work for an artist, so it can take years for some people to finish albums. So the Club Soda series also just gives the fans something in between those albums, so that they're not waiting for the next thing. They're like, okay, I still can eat and sip on my club soda while I wait for the next, album.
Oh, okay. Now I understand the concept. That's awesome. Okay. So that was an album that was thought and mapped out as an album, and the Club Soda are just little mixtapes that you're going to put together throughout the year in between albums.
Yes.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
so are you working on a new album right now?
Yes, I mean, I have the title that I want to call it, which is going to be called the Cookie Jar. I think that's just so cute.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm working on all of those projects collectively, because what I do is I go to the studio, I hibernate, and I just bang out like a whole bunch of different songs, a whole bunch of different ones. And then I kind of, at the end, once I have like all my songs, I collectively structure them in groups, whether it's by the genre or by, vibe, and then kind of collectively see which ones would be better album songs, or something that I could put on the side for Club Soda, or something that could be a single. And then I just go from there. So yeah, I'm definitely working on my next album. I'm working on Club Sodas. Like, I'm just working.
Awesome. Yeah, that was my next question, actually, was how you went about separating what would actually make the album versus, oh, this will be on the next Club Soda record. But it sounds like you categorize everything kind of once they're made.
How it feels like, it's like you can make a song and, like I said, have no intention on, or at least in my case, knowing which project it's going to go on. But once it's done, I'm listening and I can be like, no, this is an album. This is an album track. This is not something that, this is not a mixtape one. This is for the album. So it's really just going by the vibe. Once the song's finished and you listen to it, you can kind of tell a album song from just something that could be like a single, or something that you could just throw on a mixtape or whatever. So it's really just about the vibe. Once I figure out how it feels, then that's where I put it at.
I love that. And you have at least you're doing Pride in Chicago in a couple months, right?
Yeah.
That'll be exciting. Do you have any other shows coming up, or kind of tell me about that one? It's
a lot. My itinerary is pretty packed up. I'm sure I think I'm supposed to be going back to Detroit, I believe, because I went out there for like a little mini Midwest tour. So I should be going back there. I think there's something else in Texas. I'm not 100% sure, because I was just there as well for South by Southwest. So that was dope.
Oh, so, yeah. That's awesome. You got a chance to perform at South by?
It's always a vibe, honestly, to walk down and just see like everything just open and everybody outside, and it was just a vibe. So it was exciting to get to perform out there. So I think anybody that wants me in their city, all they have to do is ask. I'm popping out anywhere. So at this point, I'll probably be everywhere that I can be for the spring and summer.
Amazing. Well, Cookie, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today.
Thank you for having me. I love doing interviews.
You're awesome, and I appreciate your time. I have one more question before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, because there's tons of things you can say, right? But my just honestly is stay consistent, and be your authentic self. Like, and I know that probably sounds cliche because everyone says that, like, be yourself and do, it definitely sounds cliche, but it really is the fundamentals of your success, when you're just being unapologetically yourself and staying true to what you want to do and the art that you want to create. That's honestly all you can do. Whoever likes it, and whoever don't, like, oh well. You just got to focus on what you're doing and what's best for you, and stay consistent, because you can't drop something 1 month and then don't show up for the next 8. You have to keep putting out music and stay consistent and stay true. And that's all you can do.